Our opening words today by Thich Nhat Hanh. What mystics have always known, that what happens in one place affects all places, is confirmed by physics and ecology. When you touch one, you touch many. And when you touch many, you touch one. MaryAnne will light the chalice this morning. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope as a sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together. Our opening hymn this morning. But before we sing the first hymn, let me remind you to leave yourselves muted. However, we want you and whoever is with you to sing with Jan or Mary as big and loud as you like. Make it a joyous experience. So let's all sing the opening hymn, The Human Touch Can Light the Flame, number 307.
Dolores, you're muted.
Take two. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist community of Cambria. We're glad you've joined us today. As a Unitarian Universalist community, we celebrate religious diversity and welcome all who journey in search of faith and spirituality and Zoomification. The UUCC is a lay-led congregation inviting speakers from different religious traditions and spiritual or scientific backgrounds to speak in our pulpit. We encourage presentations covering a wide variety of topics and areas of interest to our community that connect with the UU 7 principles. Today's service centers around the 7th principle with some 2nd principles sprinkled in. The 7th principle is we affirm and promote respect for the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part. Our 7th principle may be our Unitarian Universalist way of coming to fully embrace something greater than ourselves. The interdependent web expressed as the spirit of life, the ground of all being, the oneness of all existence, the community forming power, the process of life, the creative force, even God, can help us develop that social understanding of ourselves that we and our culture desperately need. It is a source of meaning to which we can dedicate our lives. And the little sprinkling of The second principle is we affirm and promote justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. Compassion is something that we can easily act on individually. My name is Dolores Miera, and I am your worship associate this morning. I would like to extend a special welcome to today's guests and visitors. We're glad you joined us this morning under these challenging circumstances. If you are not on our mailing list, please visit our website at uuccambria.org so that we can keep you informed about all of our activities. And a reminder, if you wish to see this or any of our past Zoom experiences again, recordings of these services can be found on the UUCC website and Facebook as well. The membership committee invites non-members to consider becoming a member of our community. Please contact Janet Cooper or a board member if you're interested. And we would be interested if you're interested. Thank you. So again, good morning and welcome to everyone. So now, let's recite the affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in freedom, and to help one another. We set aside this time for any short announcements that would be of interest to our UU community members and friends. Please keep your items short and to the point. For any items that need more explanation, please call or email the person after the service to be respectful of everyone's time. If you have an announcement, please raise your hand by clicking on the raise hand button near the lower right of your participant's window. When Susan calls your name, click the unmute me button near the lower left of the participant's window, then speak.
So before we get going here, does anyone in the sanctuary have any announcements to make?
No.
And if not, then Andy.
Okay, thank you, Susan. I have two announcements. One is that my mother left me with a lot of yarn. So if anybody in the congregation is a knitter or a crocheter or a crafts person who needs a few bags of yarn, I have it. Please get in touch with me. The other announcement is that next week we'll be hearing about the UU Service Committee, and it's getting to be the season of a guest at your table. So I know there's a lot of collections going on right now, but I will be reminding everybody that we, as a congregation, love to give to the UUSC annually, and we'll be collecting through the remainder of 2020. Thanks.
Thank you, Andy. Treva, would you please unmute yourself and make your announcement?
Thank you, Susan, and good morning, all. I'm inviting you to stay after the service. Today we do have our annual congregation meeting, so please stick around when we are done here. And also tomorrow night, we have our monthly board meeting at 5 o'clock. So if you are interested in joining, please email me and I will send you the invite. Thank you.
Thank you, Treva. Lou, if you would please unmute yourself and make your announcement.
Good morning. Men's group meets tomorrow at 10 on Zoom. Andy will send out the link.
Thank you, Lou. Diane, would you please unmute yourself and make your announcement?
A new women's group is coming starting January 2021. So save the first Monday of the month from 2 to 3:30. We hope to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Chris, would you please unmute yourself and make your announcement?
This is just a great big thanks to everyone in the congregation for just the outpouring of generosity and bringing food to the church. We have so much this year, and for the things that we don't have enough of, we have enough funds to cover purchasing them. So again, thanks to everyone for contributing, for participating. And unfortunately, because of the COVID spike across the country and in our county, I am not going to ask for any more volunteers to help put the baskets together. I have one other person, and we're going to try and keep it a small a small group this year, but I know that many of you would volunteer. So again, thanks for everything.
And thank you, Chris, for all that you and Kat have done with these Thanksgiving baskets. Nancy and or Robert, please unmute yourself and make your announcement.
Hi, I'm on. Hi, this is Nancy and Robert. Our next Moving Toward Racial Justice group is meeting December 9th. That's Wednesday, December 9th at 7 p.m. And we'll be discussing this book, Just Mercy by Brian Stevenson. And there's also a movie if you want to take the shortcut. Hope anybody's welcome to join us. Hope to see you then or before. Bye.
Thank you, Nancy. And Dolores, I'll give it back to you.
Okay, and I have one announcement that I forgot to say. Sorry. The Operations Committee is meeting on Wednesday at 6 o'clock, like we do every third Wednesday of the month. And we're always looking for new members to have fun with. Thank you. Next week, the UUSC Reverend Laura Randall, she's the Associate Director of Development for Congregation Relations, will be speaking on UUSC Sunday, the Meaning of Home. Today, we will have a moment of witness, a custom widely practiced in Christian and Islamic denominations as a means to bear witness or give testimony about the way a specific religious affiliation has impacted one's life. Our hope is that in their moment of witness, a congregant here can briefly share a significant experience that moved them, helping all of us to deepen our relationship with Unitarian Universalism and strengthen our ties to the community.
I joined the Unitarian Universalist community of Cambria to find a place where I could belong to a community that agreed with my values, and this was good. I joined the choir to meet new friends, learn new music, and harmonize, and that was good. I went to potlucks, socialized, participated on committees, headed up fundraisers, and found it all stimulating, connecting, interesting, and challenging. But still, there was something missing. And then Dolores Miera asked me to do some research on covenant because, quote, we need a covenant at this church, end quote. So I learned about covenant, to promise to stay in relationship as best I could with those that I have conflict, to talk about the conflict, to listen with compassion, to be equally working towards solution with others who also have vowed to uphold their promise to stay in relationship with me when difficulties arise, is an opportunity of a lifetime. Where else in the world do people do that? In some UU churches, that's where. In this Unitarian Universalist community of Cambria. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Sharing together some of our personal and significant joys and concerns brings us closer as a faith community. We invite you to share the milestones that are deeply felt as part of your personal life. But please be mindful and considerate of all who come to worship with us this morning. This is a time of community building. The collective flames of these candles also embody all the joys and sorrows which may have gone unspoken today, but are also deeply felt in this community. Our first reading today is called The Human Touch. It's a poem by Spencer Michael Free. 'Tis the human touch in this world that counts, the touch of your hand and mine, which means far more to the fainting heart than shelter and bread and wine. For shelter is gone when the night is o'er, and bread lasts only a day. But the touch of the hand and the sound of the voice sing on in the soul always. Let us join in a time of meditation, of prayer, and of silence. Let us seek the quiet and the calm, laying aside our struggles. And in the silence, may there be a reverence in our hearts, a thankfulness within our spirit, and a deepened understanding of the meaning of our lives. Let us enter the stillness. Please come back now. Our second reading today by Jim Butcher from The Skin Game. There's power in the touch of another person's hand, hands that wrap us in warmth, that hold us close, hands that guide us to shelter, to comfort, to food, hands that hold and touch and reassure us through our very first crisis and guide us into our very first shelter from pain. The first thing we ever learn is that the touch of someone's hand can ease pain and make things better. That's power. That's power so fundamental that most people never even realize it exists. The anthem today is When It's Over, written by MaryAnne Anderson and will be sung by MaryAnne Anderson and Ames Anderson.
When it's over, I will still be here to comfort you and hold your hand and walk along the peaceful path together once again. When it's over, all the sad farewells we gave our friends who had to go, we promise to remember them and hold them ever near. The little bird who perches on the tallest tree, she sings to me and carries on her wings the coming of a brand new day. it's over.
Thank you, MaryAnne and Ames. That was beautiful. MaryAnne Anderson. Oh, today's sermon is titled Human Touch, to be delivered by MaryAnne Anderson. MaryAnne was known as Sunny for more than a decade and is still called by that by very old friends and family. Maybe because of her bright personality and because she loves the sunshine. Her life story has had many twists and turns. She traveled as a troubadour in her 20s, performing in Europe and Brazil, lived in Hollywood, and then stepped away from the limelight to be closer to nature and a calmer life. She was an English language teacher for adults from all over the world for 28 years, always carrying within her that special love for music and poetry, which will be incorporated into her talk today. Please welcome MaryAnne.
Thank you, Dolores. Good morning, everybody. It's great to see you today, even if it's virtual. Today I'm going to talk about touch, not just human touch, the definition, the benefits, and the lack thereof, especially in these times. And I'll also offer not necessarily a solution, but perhaps a few remedies, and I hope it helps us navigate through this isolation and aloneness we've all been feeling. My original title, as I said, was Human Touch, but I decided it also needs more. It needs to go further, and we need to include animals and other living things. So let's take a look now in the dictionary. Good place to start. See how many Daniel Webster defines the word touch. Oh my, I counted about 32 verbs and 20 nouns plus expressions. Here are some of the definitions. To put the hand or finger or other part of the body on so as to feel. To bring into contact with. To arouse emotion in. The sense of feeling, to affect through contact. And how many expressions do we use? Lots of them, like out of touch, keep in touch, touch and go, nice touch, touched in the head. I'm sure you can think of even more. Funny how such a simple word can be used in so many terms. But I'll start with the aspects of human touch, both the giving and the receiving end. And there's a lot to talk about. As victims of this worldwide pandemic, we are all set apart, not by our own choice, separated, unable to express affection with a hug or a kiss. Don't we love to see children running to their grandparents' arms, and don't grandparents, I know many of you are, miss the touch of their grandchildren? What about the good old handshake or a warm embrace? Tennyson once wrote, "Oh, for the touch of a vanished hand and the sound of a voice that is still." Feeling a bit lonely these days? One of the most important aspects of our being human is physical contact. Touch increases the hormone oxytocin and can promote healthful and positive sensations. For the scientifically minded, it's a peptide hormone produced by the hypothalamus and released by the posterior pituitary. Plays a role in social bonding, sexual reproduction, childbirth, and the period just after childbirth. And as we see here, a lovely picture of Andy's daughter and granddaughter, Hannah and Olivia. Look at the little child's touching of her mother as well. Babies suckle, reach out for touch. Children perform actually better in school after a pat on the back from their teacher. Touch can even erase tension in primate communities in social situations. Apes groom each other constantly too, which solidifies the bonding process. In a study of breast cancer patients, massage therapy works wonders and increases dopamine, which taps the pleasure center. and serotonin levels increase. And who doesn't feel better after a massage? Touch is one of the foundations of trust, an important social factor. Business deals usually end with a handshake and in saying hello or goodbye, or even thank you. In contrast, a slap in the face, a shove, or the denial of touch can be harmful to the psyche. Children who are denied physical touch often act out the same way or even violently later on. Yes, touch is one of the 5 senses and is transmitted through the skin, the largest organ of the human body. Benefits also apply to animals. Sometimes when we're having a Zoom meeting, I look and I can see Janet and Treva with their dogs in the background, and I just want to hop up right up on the couch and cuddle up with everybody there. But these days, it's not safe to even pet animals. They need our touch just as much as we need theirs. Animals can also vary in their relationships to human touch. Have you ever noticed how a dog who was abused will cower when you come near it? It's so sad. And cats, often skittish and don't respond to touch right away, but then others will rub up against your calf until you pet them or feed them. And how many of you are reluctant even to pet a dog when you're out walking? I remember we adopted a feral cat, or rather she adopted us. She mewed and mewed from the side of our house, and we finally caught sight of her. We put food out for her every day, and she inched closer and closer. It took about 2 weeks before she would come into the house. And then she hid behind the curtains or near the door, probably in case she had to escape. We called her Gypsy Boots. We couldn't pet her or lift her up for the longest time. And then we had to wait patiently until she felt safe. But eventually we got her to the vet, where she weighed in at little more than 5 pounds. After a few more weeks, she let my husband pet her and started to cuddle up with him on the couch. We wondered how long she'd been out there alone and hungry, and we could understand why she was so protective and afraid to be touched. One night, she hopped up into the foot of our bed and slept there. We were thrilled, happy to end our day with sweet Gypsy Boots. And one day, she went missing. A nearby neighbor reported hearing a very loud screech in the canyon late one night, probably a coyote attack. We both wept, especially my husband. I saw something come out in him, revealing a tenderness that brought us even closer together. Funny how love transmits even in secondary ways. On the brighter side, the SPCA and other rescue services are reporting a big uptick in pet adoptions, especially among single people and older adults. There was also a time when touch fear came into play, and that was during the AIDS epidemic. I remember a dear friend who contacted AIDS and went home to his parents' house to die for his final days, but they wouldn't go near him. They passed his meals under paper plate under his door. So many people were afraid they would contract the disease from even touching someone who was affected. And many young men, women, and hemophiliacs were denied physical touch when they needed it the most. One of the most compassionate pictures I remember of Lady Diana, Princess Diana, was when she visited the AIDS clinic and touched some of the AIDS patients. Women tend to touch more than men. Perhaps it has something to do with childbirth and the first touch of a mother to a newborn. When my husband and his father greeted each other, they often did so with a pat on the shoulder. But whenever I saw my father-in-law, I opened my arms for a big hug. First he hesitated, but then when we got to know and trust each other, hugs were given and received often, more and more as he aged. I've always been a little bit careful about hugging, especially when a person comes in too close or stays in the embrace too long. But that's because of early trauma in my case. But I've learned little by little to open up. And touch can vary across cultures. Americans typically shake hands. You can tell a lot about a person by their handshake. I was taught at a young age to give a good, firm handshake. When I was an ESL teacher to adults from all over the world, I learned a lot. I noticed a big difference in relation to touch. My Korean students backed away from touch or hugs, keeping at arm's length. My Latino students, however, found touching a way to communicate their feelings of friendship and appreciation. I remember a student from Africa who touched my arms constantly when he talked and held my hands a lot when he got excited. And I love the little French girl who greeted me every morning with that sweet kiss, kiss. Germans gave the good solid handshake, and they said good morning. And Russians give bear hugs and triple kisses. Romans pinch you on the cheek. Polynesians rub noses, and so do Eskimos. Eskimo kisses. Thai people and many Asian cultures put their hands together. Hindus bow. Some even kiss the feet of their guru. I had to learn what the safe distance measurements were for each culture. Parents today are challenged to explain the state of the world to their children. Why can't they play with their friends? Their definition of belonging and feeling of community and relationships to others has altered profoundly. And to the brand new arrivals, masks are a common sight. Separation from others is a given, and their sense of touch is greatly reduced in our minds. But to them, it's normal perhaps. Or is it? Are they craving more touch than they're given and not able to communicate this? Of course, they receive touch from their mothers, their fathers, their immediate family, but what about social touch? It might feel new, even strange to them once this pandemic is over. That's something to think about. Now, what happens when touch is denied or taken away from us? According to Dacha Keltner, professor of psychology at the University of California, Berkeley, touch is the fundamental language of connection. When you think about a parent-child bond or two friends or romantic partners, a lot of the ways in which we connect and trust and collaborate are founded in touch. In fact, it affects people in more ways than we might realize. Dr. Keltner also adds that touch deprivation can impact people on a psychological, even a physical level. And dancing, singing, or doing yoga with others via online platform can also be a highly effective substitute for physical contact. Human cultures have been working on bodily ways to cultivate the benefits of touch for thousands of years, he says. And also, dance is a lot about the same things. I'm connecting to you, we're moving the same way, but you can do it without actually touching someone. There's a new name for lack of touch. Interesting name, it's called skin hunger. The effects of this symptom are many: depression, loneliness, anxiety, disorders, moodiness, and even an acquired secondary immune disorders, such as alexithymia, where you can't interpret emotions. Maybe you can't read others as well and have a hard time connecting. You might also feel ill, aggressive, or angry at the world. And after a sustained period of skin hunger, I like that word, you may even become more distant and not want to establish any other forms of attachment. We saw this with our kitty. It seems strange this could be caused by lack of touch or danger. And there you are. There are even more disorders. A study done with women in anorexia and bulimia linked the disorder to a lack of touch early in their lives. Likewise, with obesity, those looking to fill a certain void. There's sexual dysfunction as well, due to anxiety and depression. I'd like to dare to take refer to an experiment that was done in the 1940s, and this is a warning. This is very hard to hear. I'll read the report and its results, but I find it hard to believe that they actually carried out this study. Newborn infants were separated into two groups. One group was placed in a sterile facility and were provided with food and were bathed and changed as necessary, but weren't given any more physical touch than absolutely required by these tasks. Apart from that, There was no communication with the children, but the nature of the conditions in which they were being raised ensured that they would never become ill. After 4 months, nearly half of the infants in the sterile environment had died, and the experiment was stopped. The babies were physically healthy, and there were no psychological causes for their deaths. This experiment revealed the vital importance of affection and touch in raising healthy children, and showed that without touch, children can die from the lack of affection. Meanwhile, the second group of babies in the experiment had all their basic needs met and were also given affection, and as a result, no babies died in that group. This may sound pretty depressing, but now that we're entering our 8th month of COVID and isolation, fear, depression, it's probably hit most of us all at one time or another. Sometimes it comes and goes in waves. I don't know about you, but I miss the hugs, the heart-to-hearts. A lot of people are quarantining these days. They've even established safe bubbles where the parties involved have reduced their outside exposure and tested negative. But there is still danger in that, as you never know if or when you might have been exposed, and you could even be asymptomatic and still a spreader. And we've had a few safe distance afternoons on our back patio with some friends, but we play music and visit, but we're very, very sure to keep at least 6 feet away from each other. And that way, we can feel quasi-normal. All this is a lot to take in, and we're still searching for ways to cope. Even entertainers. There have been, until recently, a number of outdoor safe distance concerts, of course, except mine was canceled 3 times, but oh well. Our dear local friend of the arts, violinist Bryn Albanese, just finished a course and received her license to perform music therapy for people in long-term facilities. What a wonderful offering. But the program has been postponed due to COVID, just when it's needed the most. Exactly when it's needed the most. Well, now let's take a look at a few techniques on how we can survive the absence of touch and carry on. Reverend Ken Reed Brown recently gave us a wonderful sermon on spirituality in these times. Many of his recommendations match the same solutions for conquering the disorders that come from skin hunger. There's that word again. Running or exercise that increases your heartbeat also increases your immune system and your endorphins. Online cardio workouts are also available. Spending outdoor time in nature, and what better place to do it than right here in our own backyard. I'm sure Sue Davis could give us some tips on where to go to avoid those non-mask wearing tourists that flood the Fiscalini Ranch on the weekends. And there's meditation or quiet time, which helps us to calm ourselves down, sit in the stillness, breathe in, breathe out, repeat if necessary. And in the in-between breaths, let the God Spirit enter, or whatever you choose to call her, it. Dance, move, find the strength in your body, loosen up. Music, that magical element that draws us together and soothes the soul as well. Sing out loud. Pick up that old guitar in the closet. Start strumming again. Have you ever noticed that when you put your ears close to the instrument, you can feel its vibration? Gives me the tickles. Light a scented candle. Whatever stirs the skin can make you feel good again. Wrap yourself up in blankets. Hug your pillows. Do anything that makes you feel better. Here's a poem I wrote that might help. It's called Prescription for Survival in the Time of COVID. Shelter under a canopy of trees until the all-clear sun calls you out of the darkness. Take 2 jokes and shake them like an unopened bottle of soda pop until you burst with guffaws. Place a handful of kisses in a warm bath. Soak in them until the frown wears off and a smile appears. Spray chamomile and lavender above your bed pillows to guide you into gentle sleep. Listen to bird songs as they bring morning delight with the promise of a new day in the key of life. So let's keep in touch and hope that eventually we'll be able to form the circle once again, like we do after each service. Feel that human touch again. Meanwhile, there are lots of skin-hungry trees out there that you can hug. This is a picture of my friend and poet Laura out there hugging a tree, which inspired me to write this final poem that I'm going to share with you today. It's called If I Were a Tree. I'd like to be a Jeffrey Pine with wild mushrooms for company beside a forest trail where tree huggers hike. Pick me, wrap your arms around my touch-hungry trunk, and I will bless you with shade, comfort you with my steadfast silence. Linger a while, that we may both find peace. I'd like to leave you with a beautiful song by Jackson Browne called A Human Touch. It was the inspiration for my talk today, and I'm lucky enough to have my husband Ames here with me. So thank you for the opportunity to share with you this morning, and have a wonderful day.
You can call it a decision. I say it's how we're made. There's no point in shouting from your island, proclaiming it's the only way. There will always be suffering, and there will always be pain. But because of it, there'll always be love, and love, you know, it will remain. Everybody gets lonely. It feels like it's all too much. Reaching out for some connection, or maybe just their own reflection. Not everybody finds it, not like the two of us. Sometimes all anybody needs is a human touch. Everybody wants a holiday. Everybody wants to feel the sun. Get outside and run around and live like they're forever young. Everybody wants to be beautiful and live life their own way. No one ever wants to let it go, no matter what they do or say. Everybody gets lonely. It feels like it's all too much. Reaching out for some connection, or maybe just their own reflection. Not everybody finds it, not like the two of us. Sometimes all anybody needs Sometimes all anybody needs is a human touch.
Thank you, MaryAnne and Ames. That was gorgeous. Beautiful. Jackson Brown didn't do it as well. Normally at this time, we receive offerings from our congregants. However, due to the virtual format of this service, we invite you to make offering in one of the methods shown on the slideshow. These methods are posted in the newsletter and on the UUCC website. So please keep in mind that our congregation is entirely self-governed by the democratic process. One of the privileges of our free church tradition is to provide all of the financial support for our many ministries from among ourselves. Generosity, therefore, is one of the spiritual values we recognize as central to our personal and our institutional well-being. You are invited to participate in the blessing of giving and sending us an offering. Thank you. Thanks for all these gifts given, and MaryAnne and Ames playing that beautiful music for the work of this community. Thank you. Let us now sing the doxology.
From all that dwell below the skies, let faith and hope with love arise. Let beauty, truth, and good be sung through every land, by every tongue.
For our closing hymn, please join in singing Lean on Me, number 1021.
Got me? Yeah?
Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow. But if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride if I have things you need to borrow, for no one can fill those of your needs that you don't let show. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. If there is a load you have to bear that you can't carry, I'm right up the road. I'll share your load if you just call me. So just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on.
Now let us recite the valediction. We extinguish the flame of this chalice, and we know that the light of truth and love and the warmth of this community go with us until we meet again. After the benediction, After the benediction, please click on the gallery view button in the upper right corner of your screen. Members stay for the membership annual meeting. In fact, right now, I will call on Treva as president of the UUCC after the benediction. Okay. Zoomification.
Thank you. This is an old Pueblo verse. Hold on to what is good, even if it is a handful of earth. Hold on to what you believe, even if it is a tree that stands by itself. Hold on to what you must do, even if it is a long way from here. Hold on to life, even when it is easier to let go. Hold on to my hand, even when I have gone away from you.